Well, I mean, there's multiple things. Let's first start with, you know, growing up playing baseball, watching Ricky as a football athlete in the Bay Area, which, a lot is not, there's not enough that's said about his all-around athleticism, quite frankly. He played high school football, high school basketball, and high school baseball. And football was on the top of his list. He was a great football athlete, and probably could have been a two-way player if given the opportunity to play. He made a decision not to play, kind of forced by his mother, Bobby, and she wanted to play baseball. He ended up playing baseball, and but we competed against each other in the Bay Area, and we played with each other in the Bay Area. And we really grew a bond as kids do. But truth be told, as we started playing professionally, is when we really started to build our bond and our friendship. And for me, a great admiration for Ricky, because people would probably think that because he's a Hall of Famer that baseball just came easy for him, and he didn't. He had to work hard at becoming a good baseball athlete, and to become the great base stealer, to hone his skills at plate discipline, and I'll tell anybody this. What I admired most about Ricky is his fearlessness. Ricky had no fear of anything. He wasn't afraid to fail, and he most certainly wasn't afraid of success. Sometimes what determines the great from the averages is the ability to endure and the will and need to be successful. But to reach that level, you'll find that they go hand in hand with fearlessness and going out and putting your best foot forward, and whatever happens is what happens. And that's why he became such a great Major League Baseball player, base stealer, Hall of Famer. And I compare him to, I always say he's one of the five best players to ever play Major League Baseball. I put him in that category easy. And then, the other piece of Ricky is his sense of humor, and his kindness and willingness to do whatever it was to make someone's day. Ricky, there were no bad days for him. He walks in the building, and everybody is laughing. Not trying to. He's not a comedian. It's not like he was doing stand-up work. He was just a funny individual, and when things came out of his mouth, they made you laugh. But more importantly, he liked to laugh, and so when you like to laugh, you're able to laugh at yourself. And so we had a lot of sessions where shoot, I'm cracking jokes on him, and he's cracking jokes on me, and we're laughing at each other in the end. He was just a really, really funny person, kind person, giving person, and that those are the things that stick out best for me when we talk about Ricky Henderson.
Most people will, think that your relationship was from playing in Oakland. I think you played in Toronto with him as well. But how young were you guys when you actually first, met and got to know each other in the Bay Area?
When we first met, and I made this statement before, and I gave incorrect information. When Ricky and I first met, I was 15, he was 14. And our Babe Ruth teams competed against each other at Bushrod Field. And then we continued to compete against each other at that time. He was in high school at that time playing high school football. And there were two high school players from the Bay Area that I insisted I should see play their sport at their high schools. One was Jason Kidd at St. Joseph's, and the other was Ricky Henderson at Oakland Tech High School. Um, he was worth the cost of admission to see him play football. And so I started watching him play football, and then, football season would pass, and then basketball. And then baseball season came around, and once again we're competing against each other. Then one summer after our Babe Ruth season were over with, Eddie Jewell, who was a scout for the Kansas City Royals, got a bunch of us together. Rickey Henderson was a part of that. Glenn Burke, uh, Rupert Jones, Lloyd Mosby, Jerry Pettis. There were a bunch of us. Tack Wilson. There were a bunch of us that he put together a team, and we just kind of went around the Bay Area, different ballparks in the Bay Area, playing on Saturdays and Sundays. And then we really started to know each other then. I was drafted, Rickey was drafted, and then the next time I would see him was in Hermosillo. I'm sorry, I was in Navajoa, Mexico. I was playing for Mazatlan, and we played against each other, played dominoes every night, until they left town, or until I left town. We started building our bond then the next time I saw him was in AAA. um, Obviously we were still working out in the winters together, but in competition I saw him in AAA. He was in Ogden, Utah, and I knew, by that time he had started to really learn what he was doing as a hitter, as a base stealer. His eye was starting to get really sharp, taking walks. And so I knew it was going to be a troubled day. I was pitching on that Sunday. I had a bunch of my buddies go over and at the hotel and grab him and take him out. They kept him out till 4 in the morning, and it was a day game. So when he gets to the ballpark, his first at bat, I struck him out. Second at bat, I struck him out. The third at bat, he hit a home run off of me. We ended up talking later, and I said, "Man, shoot, I thought I had you." He said, "You thought you was slick." He said, "The third at bat, I got a lighter bat so I can get that thing through the strike zone." So that was the story of him hitting his home run. And the next trip in, Rickey was in the big leagues, and he never looked back after that. He was the player that he became to be, in Hall of Famer and All Star, and just a great player.
To us, this seems that this was sudden. Had you talked to Ricky recently at all? And was the last time you saw him, was that the last Oakland game?
No, the last time I saw him, we did a softball game for Reggie Jackson, which would have been maybe a month ago. The last time I talked to him was sooner than that. I talked to him about 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about some baseball business that I handle for him, and I had set up a call for him, and so I called him on Friday, and the phone rang through. But I was calling him on Friday because I had arranged for us to be on a joint call, and he did not answer. And eventually, I got a call back from his daughter and Fred Atkins, telling me that Ricky didn't make it.
Most special looking back was that last day in Oakland where one more time got to, spend some time on the field together and throw out the final pitch, for the team that meant so much to both of you guys.
I think our bond, um, it covered a lot of areas. It covered childhood and playing together and playing against each other. But when Ricky came back to Oakland to play in 1989, as my teammate, um, our relationship was at a totally different level and went to a different level. Um, Obviously, everybody knew Rickey Henderson in the Oakland area. Everybody started to know who I was, and it seemed like we were in baseball inseparable for sure. And in the off season, we spent a great deal of time with each other. And so that final game was, in my opinion, and I think, and I can't speak for him, but I believe he felt the same way. Were two Oakland products, two kids that came out of the Bay Area, and we did well. But I also think that we exemplified what the Oakland A's were about, and the team that they are or had been. We played major parts in that, and so I think we both felt, when called to do that, to throw out that last pitch, we felt that it was fitting that we should have that opportunity to do it.
Last thing, and I'm gonna let you go, Dave, and I appreciate your time. How should Ricky be remembered? Everyone calls him the greatest leadoff hitter of all time, and I'm sure it's more than baseball. But when we look at the history books and think about Ricky Henderson, the player, the person, how should Ricky be remembered?
Well, I mean, Ricky's baseball statistics and the player he was, everybody knows that. I think the way Ricky should be remembered is he was a tremendous human being. Give you the shirt off his back. Um, Never a moment would pass, strangers or friends alike. There were kind words that Ricky would always share, and quick to give a smile and quick with laughter. That's the way Ricky should be remembered. Um, when you look at the pictures of him, he's always got a grin or a smile on his face. And if you have more intimate relationship with him, you see that he was laughing and smiling all the time. That's Ricky Henderson.